Yo, YouTube, what is up? Welcome to the Radar for Wrestling Studios.
What up, Marks?
Guys, Friday Night Smackdown just finished up. An interesting show of Friday Night Smackdown. We only have one takeaway, and usually with Friday Night Smackdown, we always have one takeaway, and it's always the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, the provider for everybody in WWE. Basically the crime family of WWE, the NYE family at this point. So it seems like we had backtracking of what happened last week. We all knew that match wasn't going to happen. You know what match I'm talking about at Royal Rumble. So they have some backtracking, some interesting things that went on in the show. We have a new debuting talk show, which is in a long line of bad talk shows. It continues in WWE. We got a couple things to get into, but we also have a big WrestleMania rumor and news for you at the end of the video. So make sure you watch the whole video. Stay tuned to the end so we can give you some big information on WrestleMania 37 location, date, all that good stuff. So make sure you tune into the end of the video. So let's get into it. One takeaway for Friday Night Smackdown. But before we do, I remind you guys, drop a like and comment on this video. The likes and comments help us out a lot in the algorithm for YouTube. We'll be recommended more and all that good stuff for you guys. So like and comment, hit the subscribe button if you're watching, you're not subscribed to the channel, notification bell so you guys alert when the new videos drop like this one. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, all those handles, same platform, all those platforms, same handles. Description section below, you got those links. Click on those links, kick back towards the channel. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's go right into it. One takeaway from Friday Night Smackdown. Friday Night Smackdown, you already know what happened. It started off with Roman Reigns in the backstage. I do like when they cut to Roman sitting in the backstage with his advisor Paul Heyman sitting behind them. It kind of just it upgrades the whole feel of him being like the crime lord and the boss of the show. And the
100%.
I think it helps out a lot. I think it's really good stuff. It's basically all about him trying to get the contract signed for Adam Pearce's match, him against Adam Pearce at Royal Rumble. But Roman is not happy with it. He wants the stipulation changed. So later on, Paul Heyman will show up to Adam Pearce with a contract for a no DQ match against Roman. Reluctantly, Adam Pearce signs. Again, Adam Pearce standing next to Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville has some type of like management role or a consultant role with Adam Pearce at this point on SmackDown. We'll see what goes from there. But next thing on the show, we had Jey Uso in the ring talking trash about Shinsuke Nakamura because what happened last week in the Gauntlet match. And then Jey Uso announced that he'll be in the Royal Rumble and he will win and he will face Drew McIntyre, whoever the champion. He called him Oldberg as well at WrestleMania and win the title. I think that'll be pretty. It's far-fetched. It won't happen, but it'd be pretty cool to have Jey Uso as WWE champion, Roman Reigns as Universal. Really big crime family feel at that point. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I mean, the tribal family would be like unbeatable at that point.
It'd be like top-notch shit right there. Yeah,
it'd be interesting if that'd be a far-fetched idea, but the Usos controlling the entire company. I don't know, guys.
Be pretty cool.
Do it.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
Pritchard, do it.
What we end up getting is Shinsuke Nakamura coming out and having a match against Jey Uso. Shinsuke Nakamura gets the win in this matchup for the Kinshasa. You had Cesaro on the outside doing commentary, so they're still together, Cesaro and Nakamura, but they're pushing Nakamura. So it seems like he's getting a prime spot. He seems like he's turning babyface. I believe he went to the original music, not the kind of like the Japanese rap music he had as a heel. I think he went back to the original music he had when he first showed up. So it looks like he's a babyface now, and we'll see what happens. It could be another big run. I think he has to have a strong performance in the Rumble and be one of the final 4 or final 5 guys in the ring to kind of cement that he's being pushed again.
And like they last week was kind of built around him, and it was pretty pointless because this week that everything that happened last week meant nothing. So hopefully they build off of something comes out of last week's episode of SmackDown and that whole Gauntlet match, and it's Shinsuke getting a prominent role on SmackDown. Yeah,
big time. Hopefully he does. Hopefully him and Cesaro get a both a prominent role because Cesaro will have a match later on against Daniel Bryan. Next thing on the show, Liv Morgan along with the Riot Squad with new member Billie Kay, who is really coming into her own since coming to SmackDown and doing the whole resume game. It started off kind of like corny, but she's very, very funny, very entertaining, very goofy, and she plays her part very well. You always need those role players, and she does a good job.
Yeah, she's a 5'2" little player. She's like, she come off the bench, she gets a little, a bunt here or has to steal a base. That's what she's doing. I like it. She's funny. She's entertaining. She cracks me up. Her voice cracks me up. Her style, the way she walks. There's a point where Liv Morgan's doing the whole thing with Ruby Riott on the rope. She's like, me, help me up. And it's just like, that cracked me up because I've never seen that before. So it's, like you said, you got to have these little 2 players around.
Yeah, she's very kind of like awkward the way she moves. So it's funny the way it plays well to her character. But it's a match between Liv Morgan and Natalya. And due to Billie Kay getting into issues with Tamina on the outside, she goes right through the ring in the middle of the match and causes Liv Morgan to lose the match. So, Natalya gets the win. So let's see where this happens. Let's see where this goes in the end. But the star of all these women in the ring was Billie Kay, because she's the most entertaining.
She stole the show.
Yeah. Next thing the show, we had Rey Mysterio taking on King Corbin, and you had Dominic Mysterio on commentary on the outside. He would eventually get involved in the match, get knocked out by King Corbin, and eventually cost his father the match. Mysterio very upset with his son, and Dominic upset as well with Corbin. He wants to get his revenge on Corbin, and then Mysterio says, I know who we need to talk to, who we need to see to get that. Let's see what happens. I guess. I mean, I don't know who else. I don't know who they're gonna try to find, but we'll see what happens with that. Then we had the Ding Dong Hello Show, which is the new talk show, and it's for Bayley because Ding Dong is her new kind of catchphrase thingy that she has. And the match, she had the talk show, and she had I can't stand them in the ring anymore. I want them to be like how even though Britt Baker's on AEW was really bad, it was all over the place. It kind of whack. But the fact that they have a set for it, I think makes more sense. But they have it in the ring, 2 chairs and a door that's there, like an APA door, and
she has to walk through the door, which was from the APA. We get it. It's fine. But
it's terrible.
It's just it's like we got rid of the KO show because KO's away, so we got to bring another show in. It's just like, enough with the freaking shows. Just have a promo. We don't need the freaking shows. Yeah,
and then you have Bianca Belair as her guest, and they just talk trash to each other, and that's pretty much it. It was a pretty bad segment, but Bayley is good as a heel, so.
Yeah, but you could have done that in 2 minutes in the backstage, a promo, whatever. Call it a day. It's just too much pageantry for no reason.
Yeah. Next thing in the show, we had Daniel Bryan going against Cesaro in a tremendous match. The matchup that stole the show. Best match on the show by far. Cesaro gets the win here. Surprising to see Bryan take the loss. Bryan is still with Gable and Otis doing some corny workouts in the back. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the 3 of them together. I think it's not really that good of a look. But, good thing. It's a big matchup, big win for Cesaro. So hopefully they continue to push him. Maybe we can see Cesaro versus Nakamura in the end, something like that, number 1 contendership match, stuff like that. We could see that in the end, but it would be pretty cool.
That Daniel Bryan's losing on a bit of a losing streak right now, so that's definitely interesting to see.
That's his call to lose to Nakamura and Cesaro 2 weeks in a row. That's his call. Yeah, that's his call.
I'm sure, but you still want to see Daniel Bryan get in there and then look viable. I mean, this was definitely old school ROH right here. I thought I was watching the old ROH DVD, but I liked that. It was a very good match for SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown, really good.
Yeah, it was good. Next thing on the show, we had Apollo Crews versus Sami Zayn. But before this, we had Roman Reigns in the back in his locker room in his suite or whatever he's got back there. And he's talking to Apollo Crews back there. Apollo Crews is intently listening to him talking. Again, during Talking Smack last week, you had Heyman and Apollo Crews have a conversation. Heyman really pumping up Apollo Crews, and I guess maybe he may be joining the family or getting advice from Roman, and then he would have a match, Apollo versus Sami Zayn, with Big E on the outside sitting on a couch, just watching the whole match go down
with a really cool Ghostbusters sweater. It was really legit. I liked it. I need that.
Apollo Crews gets the win here, and then they start trash talking each other, back Apollo and Big E. So maybe Apollo's turning, heel, maybe teaming up with Roman or joining Roman, and then going after that Intercontinental Championship. So it's a good mix to have Big E in that kind of feud.
Well, this could be where they were trying to throw Damian Priest into the remember the room we had with Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens feud. Maybe that was going to be Priest's role of him being like the new member of the family there, the other tribal family. I think that's where Apollo's going. Maybe Apollo is gonna, maybe something where Roman was like, I want Apollo on my team. I want to build up another star. And Apollo's kind of like that guy where he's always been just never. He's had some ups and downs. So I mean, this could be really interesting. It could be growing the group. It could be super interesting. So I'm intrigued at what's going on.
Yeah, it can only go up from here. I mean, it can't go down. It can be bad, but I think it ends up being a good thing in the end. But let's get to a takeaway. Last thing on the show. All right, so the contract signing for the Royal Rumble was supposed to be a no DQ. Roman doesn't like it. Wants last man standing. He wants Pierce to sign it in the ring. Pierce comes down, signs it in the ring as he's walking away. It's a very blast segment, there's nothing to it, right? And then you have Adam Pierce walking back up the aisle. Then he starts to limp, like a twitch in his knee, and he starts acting like his knee hurts. Then he turns around and says, standard WWE contract has a clause in it, card subject to change. We've all heard that before. So he says that if I'm not medically cleared, or I won't be medically cleared, I have a suitable replacement. He introduces takeaway number 1, Kevin Owens. It was an intricate way of kind of getting Owens to face Reigns at the
it's just-
Rumble. Whatever they did last week kind of was pointless at this point because it was 1 week one week thing that was fixed up. We all knew it wasn't going to be the match, right? It just that match you can't have. If it was a random pay-per-view, a Backlash, whatever, Great Balls of Fire, whatever they bring back, one of those pay-per-views I could see it happening. But on the Royal Rumble, second biggest event of the year, having Pierce versus Roman in the last match, nobody wants to see that. Even if Pierce has prior success in the wrestling business as a former NWE champion and stuff like that, but it all ends up being Kevin Owens in the end. I think it was a lot of just hoopla for nothing. Which you just got the same guy who's been feuding with Owens the past few times, right? So it's just like, it is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes you think, like, what was the whole point of last week? Like, it erases everything that happened last week. It was like, all right, so last week means nothing because this week we're going to do what we're going to do anyway. So it's just like, you could have done something a little better where it didn't involve all those moving parts. And maybe that whole thing was to push Shinsuke and Cesaro and those guys.
It could have been just
over moment. Okay, then I'll shut up. But you could have done that with something else. You have to put it towards the championship match at the Rumble with Roman. Doesn't really make any sense. And then it was kind of anticlimactic where KO showing up and then it just ends. It goes to black. It's just like, all right, that's all we got. I mean, I don't know, there could have been a better way of doing it. We knew that was going to be the match though, regardless. But it fell flat for me. Didn't enjoy it. Like nothing with anybody involved. Just the storyline itself was just so much going on. The entire show was weaving this whole sign the contract, don't sign a contract, change the contract, whatever contract, signing, oh, my knee crank, and then here comes Kevin Owens. Like, really, that's what we did? Like, that's what we watched the entire show for. We see Kevin Owens come out, smile, and like, oh, we're having a match again. It's just, I don't know. It's just a lot. It's just a lot for something that could have been done way easier.
Yeah, it could have been done 10 times easier. What you could have done was had the gauntlet match like you did last week. Have Shinsuke run the gauntlet and kind of go to the end, face Kevin Owens, and then Reigns gets involved and kind of just causes a no contest. Then you have Adam Pearce the following week, this week, today, saying that you have a matchup between the two. Shinsuke and Kevin Owens have a tremendous matchup, a long match, maybe a 2-segment, 3-segment match. And then in the end, you have Kevin Owens win, due to maybe like a Jey Uso screw up or something like that, something like that. Like, Roman rather would want, Shinsuke, right? Because he's faced Owens so many times. You're like, let's say Shinsuke, maybe he thinks he beat Shinsuke. Here comes Jey Uso to kind of screw it for Owens, but he ends up screwing it up, and Kevin Owens gets to win. Something like that. You could have done that and still built Shinsuke up, right? And then at that point, you could start a Shinsuke Jey Uso feud the next week. Have the match you had this week, next week, and at the Rumble, have them confront each other in the Rumble, and you could lead it to like the final 4 guys being having Jey, Shinsuke, and then 2 other guys. You could do that stuff. That's like a bunch of different things you could do right there.
And it would have been so much easier. It would have been so much better, and it would have been way more like, because we knew Pierce wasn't going to be in the match, like you said earlier. It's like, it's not going to happen. So we already knew going in this was a complete waste of time. The other way, we're going to be like, oh shit, are they going to put Shinsuke, versus Roman? Like, that's an awesome match. We're ready to see that. But no, it would have been Kevin Owens, and we still would have been like, all right, it makes sense. So it's just like, you just added all this stuff that meant nothing because we knew it wasn't going anywhere. The payoff was going to be Kevin Owens regardless. So it just like you said, you booked it way better right now. So people that watched it because that was a way better booking than Bruce Pritchard and the entire staff there at WWE put together. Just saying.
Yeah, because it doesn't help Roman in the end. Roman is the man no matter what. Like, it doesn't really help. I guess you want to make it seem like he's more of like a kingpin and he's kind of controlling the whole thing, but you just do that any way you want. Like, he still could pull the strings no matter how you want. I think it was just like to give us a reason to say, like, we know that's not going to happen, right? And if it does, like, why? I don't know. That makes sense. But that's our rant on the final part of the show. Kevin Owens now will face last man standing match, who will face Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble event for the Universal Championship. I guess that means Kevin Owens will not be in the Royal Rumble because he's not going to do double duty after being in a last man standing match. But let's get into some news and rumors about WrestleMania. That was our takeaway from Smackdown. Let's get into the news and rumors. All right, so news and rumors about WrestleMania. WrestleMania 37 is supposed to be at SoFi Stadium. Now, it was originally scheduled to take place March 27th. That was the date for WrestleMania 37. Reportedly, it's being pushed back to April 11th, 2021, and that it will no longer most likely take place at SoFi Stadium because Los Angeles is very restrictive with their, COVID ruling. Nobody's been able to watch a game, so they may be pushing it to Raymond James Stadium, where they're supposed to have WrestleMania 36, where they're supposed to have it last year, because in Florida, there has been fans in stadiums, you know, small amounts, so they can have at least somewhat of a fan base there at WrestleMania. So maybe Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, the site of where last year's was supposed to be, might be this year's WrestleMania, and April 11th instead of March 27th. So I mean, as long as you can get some fans in there to hear some noise and get some life in there, it's a good
and
thing.
Be outside for WrestleMania. Like you want a stadium for WrestleMania. It's the biggest show. Now, don't get me wrong. SoFi Stadium is probably the coolest stadium I've ever seen on TV. It looks amazing. If you watch a Rams or Chargers game, it looks amazing. So I would have loved to see a WrestleMania there. Maybe one day in the future we'll get it. But right now the world sucks and we can't have it. So it is what it is. But Raymond James Stadium, it kind of deserves it, I feel, because last year it just got, it was literally like a week before WrestleMania, everything just went dark. So that was life, and Tampa deserves it one more time, even in front of, whatever, if it's 8,000, 10,000 people, whatever the case may be, whatever Florida rules are for Raymond James, you just have to do it. You got to do it. It's Mania. You want a crowd. Last year's Mania was 2 nights, and it was they did a great job with what they had, but it didn't feel like a WrestleMania. It's not something I'm going to look back on and be like, that was a great Mania. It was all right. It was good, but
it's remembered for 2 cinematic matches, so it's remembered.
Yes, and it's in the Performance Center, and it's just looked tiny. It looked wrong. So this, at least it'll be in a stadium. They're going to have a light show, and I'm sure they'll add maybe like the whole
Thunderdome thing, maybe
Thunderdome thing with the people there as well. So it's going to be great. It might bring some normalcy back to our lives to see a WrestleMania in a stadium with people, just because hopefully, you never know, knock on wood, stuff continues to get better with the vaccine and all these things, that we can continue having people in the stadiums.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it'll probably be 1% of what WrestleMania is supposed to be in terms of its economic impact on the city, fan base, all that stuff that happens when that influx of WrestleMania comes in. The amount of tourism, hotel business, food industries, all that stuff. They most likely want to have access, maybe a virtual access, something like that. All depends on the state rules in Florida. They're a little bit more open than everywhere else. So excited for that. Have somebody have a presence, have some life in it, and it should be good stuff. Hopefully that all plans out and that all happens according to plan. Should be looking now, as of right now, April 11, 2021 at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. That's the news we got for you guys today. WrestleMania news. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember to like, comment on this video. Appreciate all you guys commenting on our videos, letting us know what you guys think and hearing your opinions on wrestling. We do appreciate it big time.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks for all the new subs, and for this work for you, bud, on the job.
Later, Marks.